Hello everyone. So in the last class we have discussed about Hadoop framework. So in that we have discussed clearly what is Hadoop ecosystem and its components. So in the previous class we have defined Hadoop as a framework that allows for the distributed processing for large data sets across clusters of computers using simple programming models. Hadoop ecosystem, this particular framework consists of various types of complex and evolving tools and components. Some of these elements may be very different from each other, supporting the distributed file processing. So in that particular architecture, we have discussed many elements of Hadoop ecosystem like HDFS, MapReduce, Yarn, HBase, Sqoop, Flume, Zookeeper, Oozie, Pig, Mahout, R components, Hive, Ambari, etc. So all these are the supporting components which helpful for distributed processing of files. So apart from that, we have also discussed that HDFS and HBase helps in data storage, MapReduce and Yarn in particular helps for data processing, and elements like Hive, Pig, Mahout, R components, Sqoop. So all these are helpful for data accessing facilities. Oozie, Flume, Zookeeper acts as a file management task processing elements at the higher level. And Ambari is considered as one of the open source mechanism to create the clusters, provisioning the clusters, managing the clusters, and monitoring the clusters. So these are the certain components which are part of the Hadoop ecosystem and helpful in data processing activities with respect to big data. And also, before winding up with the last session, I have just briefly introduced you what is HDFS file system. So HDFS is nothing but Hadoop distributed file system which allows us to store large data across the cluster. It is a file system which is used to manage the challenges of big data. And it has many features, so like managing the huge documents, streaming information access, appliance hardware, low latency information access, loads of documents, managing the loads of small documents. So all these are the what you can say concepts or the facilities provided by the HDFS file system. So these particular advantages, as we proceed further, you will feel how these are helpful in this particular case. So in this particular lecture today, we will discuss about HDFS, that is Hadoop Distributed File System. So in detail, we will discuss about its architecture and simultaneously how exactly the block structure is and how this Hadoop architecture works to manage the big data files. So let us continue now. So as I have already told that this is a file system, HDFS or Hadoop distributed file system is a file system that is designed to manage the challenges of big data. So Hadoop architecture, actually it is called as master-slave architecture. It is called as master-slave architecture. Sometimes these slaves are also called as workers. So in this case, it is a master worker architecture also. So in some of the other books, you can refer, or they have given it as the master worker. So both are one and the same thing. So HDFS has the master slave architecture. It consists of name node and data nodes. The name node, so this particular figure just clearly gives you the overview of the HDFS architecture. So as I have told that this HDFS architecture consists of two elements. In this particular case, it is called as name node, and these are all the data nodes, and these data nodes are togetherly binded to form the rack. So these are the blocks, or these are the data nodes which are part of rack 1, and these are the blocks which are part of rack 2. Okay, so this is how the architecture, what I can say, the architecture consists of these particular elements. So let us further discuss on these particular things. Here in this particular architecture, so this name node, actually it is considered as the master node. So this is the master, and all these data nodes are considered as workers or slave nodes, we can say. The name node manages HDFS cluster metadata, whereas data nodes store the data. So here in this particular case, you will see the name node consists of or manages the metadata information about the data nodes, and these particular data nodes consist of blocks of records, you can say. So actually the data is stored in these particular data nodes. Records and directories are presented by clients to the name node. These records and directories are managed on name node. Operations on them, such as their modification or opening and closing them, are performed by the name node. On the other hand, internally, a file is divided into one or more blocks, which are stored in group of data nodes. Data nodes read and write requests from the client data nodes, from the clients, and data nodes can also execute operations like creating, deleting, and replication of blocks depending on the instructions from the name node. So all the realistic data is stored in this particular case. So it is managing all this particular real data with a concept of block. So these are small part of, or small chunk of data, you can say, which are stored in all these data nodes, and togetherly the entire operation of the data nodes, it is managed by the name node. So in other words, you can say that all these particular data nodes are under the control of name node, which consists of metadata. So in this particular case, just see, the same thing is been given here. HDFS follows the master slave architecture, and it has the following elements, that is name node and number of data nodes. The name node is the master that manages the various data nodes as shown in the particular figure. Okay. So let us put more light on what exactly the name node is. So an HDFS cluster has two types of nodes. That is, one is called as master node, which is also known as the name node, and it consists of various data nodes which are called as slaves. The name node deals with the file system. It stores the metadata for all the documents and indexes in the file system. So now in this particular session, I have taken a name of metadata. So what exactly the metadata is? What is meant, what do you understand by a metadata? Any idea on this? So, in this particular case, the keyword metadata is nothing but it is a set of data which describes and gives information about the other data. Okay? So, in other words, we can define it as it summarizes the basic information about data which can be finding and working with particular instances of data easier. So, in a nutshell, we can say this metadata as data about data. Data about data. So, following this particular figure, so I will give you some examples of metadata. So, for example, consider a book. So, each book has a number of standard metadata on the cover and also inside. This includes title, author name, publisher, copyright details, description on the back side of the cover page, table of contents, index, page number, etc. So, all these are known as the metadata. So, by looking at these particular contents, we can easily understand what exactly the book is for. Okay? So, this is called as a metadata. So, summary of the contents of the book is been known from this particular information, that is called as a metadata. Let us consider one more example. So, consider a blog spot. I hope many of you are having your own blog post. So, consider this blog post which has a standard metadata fields which are usually at before the first paragraph. This includes a title, an author name, publisher, published time, category, tags, etc. So, all these togetherly called as a metadata with respect to blog post. Okay? So, is it clear? So, now in this particular architecture, it contains all the information about these particular data nodes, that is called as the metadata. Okay? Right? So, where that particular node is, in which rack, okay, whether is it alive or not, its status, how many blocks are present. So, all this particular information is maintained by the name node, and that information is called as the metadata in this particular case. Okay? Is it clear? Right. So, let us continue the discussion on the name node. So, as I have told that this particular name node stores the metadata for all the documents and indexes in the file system. This metadata is stored on the local disk as 2 files. So, this metadata is stored on the local disk in 2 forms. One is called as file system image, one more is edit log. File system image, it is also known as, in short, FS image, and also it consists of edit logs. Edit log information. So, this is what the metadata is, metadata in the form. The name node is aware of the data nodes on which all the pieces of a given document are found. However, it doesn't store block locations necessarily, since this data is recreated from the name data nodes. Okay. So, now with respect to this, a client accesses the file system on behalf of the user by communicating with the data nodes and the name nodes. So with the architecture, so client accesses the data nodes with the help of name node, and if it is a read operation, it can directly read from the data nodes. So continuing with the data nodes, name nodes. The name node is the commodity hardware. It is a commodity hardware, means no special hardware is required. Whatever is there, that itself can be considered as the name node. So that itself is commodity hardware, is nothing but your laptop or your desktop, whatever the machine that you want to make it as name node, that itself is the commodity hardware. It is the commodity hardware that contains GNU Linux operating system and the name node software. So it is a software that can be run on the commodity hardware. The system having the name node acts as the master server, and it does the following tasks. So the name node tasks are, as I have already summarized, it manages the file system namespace, which is nothing but namespace means it is nothing but the metadata about the data nodes, stores all the metadata for all the documents and indexes in the file system, regulates client's access to files. It also executes file system operations such as renaming, closing and opening of files, and also the directories. So this is called as a name node. So coming to the data nodes. So data nodes are the workhorses of a file system. So these are the data nodes which are considered as workers or slaves in this case. So these data nodes are known as workhorses of a file system. So all the data and also the processing of data that takes place in this particular case. They store and recover blocks when they are asked by the clients or name node, and they report back to the name node occasionally with a list of blocks that they store externally. So this is the name node, data node. So as I have told that the data node is a commodity hardware, it is also a commodity hardware having a GNU Linux operating system and data node software. For every node in a cluster, there will be a data node. These nodes manage the data storage of their file system. Data nodes perform read-write operations on the file system as per the client request. They also perform operations such as block creation, deletion and replication according to the instructions of the name node. So as I have told, go back to this particular architecture. So client is requesting or accessing the file on behalf of the user by communicating with the data nodes and name nodes. The client provides a file system like POSIX interface. So what is POSIX interface? POSIX interface is nothing but it is a portable operating system interface. It is a family of standards specified by IEEE Computer Society for maintaining the compatibility between the operating system. So client provides a file system using the POSIX interface so that the user code does not require the name node and data nodes in order to execute. So here the client can directly have an access to this particular file once the permissions or all the metadata information is been given to or given by the name node. So when client wants to read a file, so first it asks for list of data nodes host replicas of the blocks. Means what? First the client asks the name node about which are all the racks or the data nodes available the DN directly and request the transfer. So this is what the read operation. So once the metadata information it collects from the name node, then client can directly access the data nodes. Now how the write operation is performed. So now the client requests the name node, NN means name node, to choose the data nodes, DN data nodes, to host replicas of the first block of the file, organizes a pipeline and send the data. So it organizes those particular data blocks in a pipeline, then the data can be sent. Then deleting operation, so delete a file and create or delete the directory also. So there are various APIs are available, so the client can do. So these are called as the operations, the what I can say HDFS operations, so which are performed through APIs. So he can schedule the task to where the data are located. So this is what the this is how the client can deal with the architecture, access the files. So in this particular case, the write operation is shown because the read operation is straightforward. Just it collects the information from the name node and directly access the thing. And in this particular case, the write operation. So now client can request to add blocks to the clusters. That particular operation is done by the name node. Then the client wants to write the information onto the data nodes. So now in this particular case, after creating the after receiving the metadata information about the blocks, now the write, so just see here all the data nodes have been pipelined in this particular case. So it creates the replicas of the same block. So where it is to be stored, so all that information is being maintained by the name node in this case. So as I was told, a client accesses the file system on behalf of the user by communicating with the data nodes and name node. The client provides the POSIX interface so that the user code does not require the name node and data nodes in order to execute. Data nodes, as I have already told, these are the workhorses. So without the name node, the file system cannot be used. In fact, file system means HDFS. In fact, if the machine using the name node crashes, all the files on the system would be lost, since there would be no way of knowing how to reconstruct the files from the blocks on nodes. This is why it is very important to make the name node robust to cope with failures, and Hadoop provides solution for it. Means we need to make the NAM node very robust, otherwise we will lose our data. So that's what the commodity hardware is. So in order to make that particular thing robust, so there were two solutions. So the first solution is to take the backup of the file documents. Hadoop can be set in a way that name node creates its state for various file systems. The normal setup choice is to write on the local disk and to remote NFS mount. Means what? Here in this particular case, local system is our actual hardware memory. NAM node is a virtual memory. So like that it is. So HDFS is on a virtual memory. So that is the name node. That particular thing is managed by the name node, and we can take backup of that particular data and store it on our local hard disk. So this is one solution. So one more solution is to run a secondary name node which does not operate like a normal name node. Secondary name node periodically reads the file system, changes the log, and apply them into FS image file, means a file system image. When the name node is down, the secondary name node will be online, but this node will only have read operation to fs image and edit log file. Data nodes ensure connectivity with the name node by sending heartbeat messages. Whenever the name node ceases to receive a heartbeat messages from the data node, it unmaps the data node from the cluster and proceeds with further operations. So this is about name node and the data node. Okay, so let us put more light on this data nodes and its what I can say, the making the name node robust. So as so far we have understood that architecture, HDFS architecture is a master slave architecture. The slaves are nothing but the low cost commodity computers which are used as a measure of that storing cost will be very much cheaper. Not only the primary name node will be there, also it can have one supporting secondary name node. So that itself is called as a what? A supporting or a secondary name node. Okay, it is not exactly the name node. It doesn't have all the privileges of the name node, but it is just a representative of a name node in case of any failures. So let us put more light on this particular thing. So in data nodes, actual data is stored. Data nodes also support replication. As a measure of that, if one data node goes down, then data can be accessed from the other replicated data nodes. That's why it enhances the more probability for more availability and more accessibility. So let us see. Let us analyze this figure. These are racks. This is the global switch, we can say. And each of these racks are having local switch. And each of these racks contain data nodes. Let us say data node 1, data node 2, data node 3, where I have a block of information stored here. It is replicated over here. Second rack, data node 4, 5, 6, it also contains blocks of data. Then we have rack 3. So this is the global switch, and each of these particular racks are having the local switch, and these racks contain so many data nodes, and within data nodes we have the blocks of data that is being stored. So here in this particular designated as A, B, C, C, A, B, C. So there are replicas in each of the racks. So just go back to our earlier figure. So just see here, these are the data nodes. Okay, so data nodes consist of blocks. These are, you can consider as files right now. Blocks are nothing but the small files. So just see the rack 1 consists of these many blocks, rack 2 consists of these many blocks, and all these blocks are replicated here. Replicated. So these data nodes also supports replication as a measure of that. If one data node goes down, then data can be accessed from other data nodes. That's why it enhances the more probability for more availability and more accessibility. Means HDFS supports WARM, that is write once, read many patterns. Okay, I think you have heard that in your DBMS, this thing. So why this replication concept is required in this particular case is that if any of these particular data nodes goes down, then the processing of data cannot be altered. So if this particular data node 2 is now it is down, then this particular block A data is available in other racks also. So now the name node will have access to this particular data nodes, or if entire rack itself goes down, then this particular data is already replicated in other racks. So this particular rack can have the name node can have an access to the active racks, you can say. Data nodes send health report to the name nodes periodically. The default time is 3 seconds. So far, every 3 seconds, these send the report to the name node. Means what? So as I have already told, name node is a master which collects all the information about the data nodes. So data nodes periodically send their particular status. Yes, I am alive. I am right now. I am available for processing. So such kind of information about its status, it is known to what you can say sent to the name node. So this particular message is called as a heartbeat messages that I will show you in the next slide. So this particular thing, so yeah, for every 3 seconds, so default, this is the default time. For every 3 seconds, the data nodes advertise that yes, I am alive. Okay, right now. So what is that particular status that is communicated to the name node? It is called as a heartbeat message. Then about coming to the secondary name node. So secondary name node, as I have already told, it is another special dedicated node which is used to take the checkpoints of the file system. The secondary name node is not the substitute for primary name node, just it helps the name node but not replace the primary name node, you can say. So let us consider this following figure which tells how this secondary name node is. This is the name node. Query for edit logs in regular intervals, and this query is done by secondary name node. So if this is the secondary node, we can call this as a primary name node or name node itself. So after getting the information from the name node, so this happens regularly. It updates file system image with edit logs, then recreates the FS image, file system image, then copies that file, update FS image back to NN, then FS image will be read by the name. So as I have told, the secondary name node does not operate like the normal name node. It periodically reads the file system, changes the log and apply them into the FS image file. When the name node is down, the secondary name node will be online, but this node will have only the read permission to FS image and edit log. Okay, so it keeps on getting the information, it queries the message, and if in case of failure of this particular name node, it recreates the FS image when this is been up, so it just recreates the file system image of that particular time, and by that particular time name node can continue with its particular task. So these are the some recovery measures with respect to the secondary name node is concerned. So after understanding this particular architecture, there is one more concept called the blocks in HDFS architecture. So let us see what exactly these blocks in HDFS architecture. A disk has certain block size, which is the basic measure of information that it can read or compose. File systems expand by managing information in pieces, which are an indispensable part of the disk block size. File system blocks are commonly a couple of kilobytes in size, while disk blocks are regularly 512 bytes. HDFS blocks are huge in contrast to disk blocks because they have to minimize the expenses of the seek operation. The default block size is 64 MB, but depending on the HDFS other installations, it can vary up to 128 MB blocks also. So the same thing has been, what you can say, it has been highlighted on the slide here. Generally, the user data is stored in these files of HDFS that is called as blocks. The file in a file system will be divided into one or more segments and stored in individual data nodes. These file segments are called as blocks. In other words, the minimum amount of data that HDFS can read or write is called as a block. The default block size is 64 as I have mentioned. It can be varied to 128 MB also depending on different type of HDFS installations. But the default size is 64 MB. But it can be increased as per the need to change the HDFS configuration. So in this particular case, we have demonstrated the heartbeat message here. So just analyze. So this is one HDFS cluster here, name node, data nodes. So it is forming a cluster now. So now from other particular data nodes, the name node is receiving the heartbeat messages. Just see the dotted line here. Heartbeat messages means what? It contains all the statuses about the data node. Yes, I am alive, I am ready for processing and etc. So it is keeps on advertising for every 3 seconds as I have already told. So depending on that, the heartbeat messages have been sent, and when it receives the heartbeat messages, it is been added to the cluster. And in the other side of the figure here in this particular case, just see here this particular node, there is no heartbeat message for a while. So in that particular case, this server is just, this particular data node is just disconnected. It doesn't be a part of it. It doesn't consider to be added into the cluster, just it neglects it until it advertises itself. So this is how the heartbeat messages are used to reconstruct or construct the HDFS clusters. Apart from that, so this is what the block report. So identify the block replicas. So block ID, that means what it means. The heartbeat messages contains block ID, generation of stamp, the length of the message, length of the block. So it sends the first when it registers and send it to regularly. So heartbeat messages indicate the availability of the blocks or data nodes, you can say. Default interval is 3 seconds. Data node is considered dead if it is not received in 10 milliseconds. Contains information for space allocation and load balancing, storage capacity, fraction of storage in use, number of data transfers currently in progress. So these are all the information that the heartbeat messages communicate to the data nodes. So name node replies with the instructions to the data node. Is there any blocks need to be created, or is there any replicas to be done? So all that particular information is being communicated by the name node through the metadata operations. So with respect to this, to enable this particular task of reliability, one should facilitate the number of tasks for failure management. So some of the tasks the HDFS considers in this particular case is monitoring. So this is nothing but a data node and name node communicate through continuous signals. These are called as heartbeats. If signal is unheard by either of the two, the node is considered to have failed and no longer considered, and is replaced by replicas with a change in replication scheme 2. NMNOD scheme is rebalancing. According to this process, the blocks are shifted from one to another location. Wherever a free space is available, better performance can be judged by the increase in demand of data as well as the increase in demand for replication towards frequent node failures. Then the third option or third measure can be metadata replication. These files are prone to failure, hence they maintain replicas of the corresponding file on the same HDFS. So HDFS is not like the local file system that we consider normally in our this operating system. So this HDFS in this particular big data or Hadoop ecosystem, it is a kind of virtual file system which is being created for maintaining the big data files. So I hope this HDFS architecture is clear to you. So just revise the HDFS architecture. Then in the next class we will start with the other HDFS file operations. Thank you very much.